That was the Indian Prime Minister speaking from New Delhi. The GST reforms are all set to roll in tomorrow. First thing, early morning at sunrise, next generation GST reforms are going to be applicable. This is what the Prime Minister has announced. From the first Navratri day, the GST reforms will be in place. What are these reforms? There will no longer be a 12% and 28% tax structure under the GST norms. All taxes will be under the 5% or 18% bracket and an additional 40% which has been added for sin products and luxury goods. 5% is essential for all your essential and daily use items, for food grains, medicines. 18% more standard goods, services, including manufacturing, transport and services. And of course, then there is life insurance, which will not have any GST anymore. The Prime Minister has called this the GST Savings Event and the GST Savings Festival, Utsav, which is going to begin from tomorrow. A lot more has been shared. Let me discuss this with our Assistant Editor Foreign Affairs, Siddhant. Of course, we've just heard what the Prime Minister said. Give me your key takeaways.
Well, the first, of course, is on GST, as you've already pointed out, the new slab rate and the celebration, which is the GST Utsav, which essentially will be alerting and telling the nation that how, of course, there can be saving of money. But the second aspect, which is towards his the end of the speech, is on the buying of made in India products. That's the big focus of the Indian government for a long time. And this is the second time in 2 days that the Indian Prime Minister has mentioned. So this is key in terms of how the global headwinds are going, how there has been protectionist policies by several governments. Donald Trump's policies, of course, aren't helping, of course. And this is an important message to buy made in India product. That has been the big message. The other big message, I would say, from the Indian Prime Minister's address to the nation. But overall, the address to the nation is largely on economic issues, on the GST reforms and how that, of course, helps the economy. We're waiting for more reactions now coming in, but the address to the nation is something that the Indian Prime Minister really does. But when he does, the message is clear that, of course, will be the policy of the government for next few months and years. The last address was, we all remember, was after the ceasefire understanding between India and Pakistan in the month of May. And India laid out its Pakistan policy, including, of course, calling off the nuclear bluff. This time, of course, India clearly laying out its economic policy, both in the sense of the GST, how it is the next generation reforms, how, of course, the focus is not only saving money, but, of course, how making sure that there is ease of doing business. The second, of course, is on Make in India, Atmanirbhar Bharat. This is a policy of the Indian government since 2014, but increasingly getting very important at a time when global economic headwinds remain.
And also, Siddhant, the Prime Minister had mentioned this during the Independence Day speech as well, that, this time it's going to be the double Diwali for everybody. And of course, the auspicious time is now just starting. So the timing of this is coinciding with the Navratris, 22nd of September, extremely auspicious as per our culture. And when it comes to the state and center moving together, the Prime Minister mentioned that at least twice in this address as well, that the state and the center, states and the center, they're also going to move together towards, higher development. How did you note that?
Well, essentially, yes, state and center working together, especially under the GST Council, is well known. But the Indian Prime Minister's message is for the middle class, the poor as well. And of course, talking about how lower taxes on several items are something that's going to help the people of this country.
Thanks, Siddhant, for getting us the latest on that. The Indian Prime Minister just spoke just minutes ago. And just to repeat to everybody, the next generation GST reforms are going to be applicable from the first Navratri, that is tomorrow, 22nd of September, from sunrise. As soon as the day starts in the morning, now there will no longer be a 12% and a 28% GST rate. It's now going to be simply 5% and 18% GST rates, which means all your daily use essentials, from what you have in your kitchens to what you have in your bathrooms, what your medical supplies, the daily use items, from your toothpaste to your, from your kitchen essentials, from your soap bars, everything, it will now be brought down to the 5% mark. When it comes to standard goods, services, manufacturing, transport services, all of those will be at 18%. And all vehicles which are 1200 cc, if it's a petrol engine, 1500, below 1500 cc and below 1200 cc, 1200 for petrol, 1500 for diesel. If for all those vehicles, it will now be an 18% charge as opposed to 28% as it was earlier. Luxury goods, luxury items, and especially vehicles, they are going to be attracting a higher rate, that is 40%. And your sin products like, tobacco, pan masala, aerated drinks, they are going to be attracting a higher percentage rate. For everything else, it only gets cheaper, as there is no 28% and no 12% charge anymore.